Hello friends, how's it going? It's me, Betty Jean. I am here again to do another palette ranking for you. In this video specifically, I'm gonna be ranking all of my Ace Beaute palettes, and I am so excited. I feel like this one's been a long time coming, and with the new releases from them, I figured now is a good time to do a little ranking. I have 11 palettes from the brand. I don't own all of the palettes from the brand, but I do own, I'd say, the vast majority. And I'm really excited to chat about these, kind of pin them against each other. This was so difficult to do because even the ones in the bottom, I don't hate them. I love them. They've survived many a declutter, but this was just, it was tough. But something had to be in the top, something had to be in the bottom. The middle was honestly the most difficult because I felt like I wanted to put everything in the top. I have done multiple videos with all of these palettes across my YouTube channel, across Instagram and TikTok. You can go search in for some inspo if you are interested. I will have Ace Beaute's site linked down below for you, and I do have an affiliate code with the brand, so you can use my code battybean in all caps to save some money on their sites, and I appreciate it so much if you use it. I've loved Ace Beaute for years. I very recently became an affiliate and started getting some palettes sent to me, but I've been purchasing from them for years. They've been one of my favorites for years, and I'm just so excited to see how much they've grown in this time. And I did film this look, of course. It is with the Envy palette, and it's part of my 2 looks video with the new Envy and Aura palettes that I think went up the day before this video is gonna go up. And as far as my accessory details go, these plugs are Love Kills Boutique. These earrings are from Undoubtedly Mad on Etsy, and I don't know where this choker's from. It's very old. So yeah, without further ado, let's just hop in and rank my 11 Ace Beaute palettes. Okay. Number 11, this was so painful to have to put something here because I like this palette, but I just had to kind of base it on like what I've been reaching for lately, what I'm likely to reach for, stuff like that. But don't get me wrong, I don't dislike this palette. Number 11, I'm giving to my Blossom Passion palette. Oh, I can't believe I'm giving this to the 11th slot. This was one of the first palettes I ever bought from them. It was part of that bundle, the Paradise bundle with the Slice of Paradise, Classical Paradise, Paradise Fallen, Blossom Passion, all that good stuff. I no longer have the Slice of Paradise because it did get replaced with the Blend Bunny rainbow palettes as my favorite rainbow palette, and I'm personally not someone who needs a million rainbow palettes. But yeah, this was one of my first palettes ever and fell in love with the brand right away. I know not everyone used to like their old formula, but I never had a problem with it. They have since reformulated even their older palettes to their new formula if you're interested. And I still think this is so cute. It's just not the one I've been reaching for lately. I very rarely reach for monochromatic pink palettes. I don't really have a reason why. That's just not the first thing that pops into my head. Even though this is super cute and it would go super well with my hair right now, it's just not the first thing I'm reaching for. So that's the only reason I ranked it so low. Everything else just excites me a little bit more. Number 10, I feel kind of the same way. This was really painful to put something in this slot, but you know, I had to. Giving number 10 to my Paradise Fallen palette, this beautiful dreamy purple magic. Again, part of that original 4 palette bundle that I bought forever. Those were the days. Was what, back in like 2017, like bundles were the thing. Like brands would just release like 4 palettes in a bundle and I was all over that. That was like my favorite thing ever. And I loved this one. It's so moody, so purple, so fun. I liked the kind of mixture of cool toned grayish brownish neutrals with all these vibrant rich purples. It was so fun, and I didn't really have anything like this at the time, but again, it's just not my go-to when I'm reaching for. I feel like when I want to reach for like moody dark purples, this just isn't the first one to come to mind right now. It's not that it's bad, it's just not the first thing I'm reaching for. So that's the only reason I ranked it so low. I just like everything else more. Simple as that. Number 9, I'm giving to the Palettopoly palette. This chaotic, wonderful color story. So this released a few months back as a whole game. It came with a whole board game, card game, whatever you want to call it, situation where it randomly draws you different eyeshadows, which it's essentially just palette bingo. You could do that with any palette. I've done it a zillion times on my channel. You don't need a whole board game, but I'm fairly certain you can only buy this with the board game. Like I think the game is included with the palette, and it is a beautiful palette. I like the colors in here. I like the mixture of grungy tones and brights. The shimmers in here are beautiful. I love yellows and purples together. I think it's so fun, even though it's a little challenging. It's a really fun combo, and I think it's a really fun palette. However, I don't know, maybe if this would have launched more standalone instead of as a whole game, maybe I would have been more drawn to reach for it more, but I feel like when I think of this palette, all I think of is the game, and I don't really want to play the game. Which I know is so silly, because like no one's forcing me to play the game when I use this palette at all. But that's what I think of. So it just doesn't come to the forefront of my mind whenever I'm deciding what palette I want to use. And even though I think it's a fun color story, it is a little chaotic. And I do like a chaotic color story, but I like a more condensed chaotic color story, if that makes sense. So it's just not like my #1 favorite that they've done, but I do enjoy playing with this a little bit more than the Paradise Fallen and the Blossom Passion. It just gives me a little bit more creativity. I feel a little more spunky when I use it, but couldn't really rank it any higher than that. Okay, this is where it starts to get tricky. I was able to kind of narrow down my bottom 3 the fastest. I was able to find my top 4 the fastest, but everything else 5 through 8 was really, really tough for me. I did not know what order to put these in. I felt like none of them deserved to be in the bottom of this kind of mid-range, so this was tough, and everything going forward I do love a lot. Like, I have no qualms with them. I don't really have any qualms with the Paletopoly other than the fact that I just like automatically think of the game that I don't want to play. So yeah, let's just get into #8. But I did just want to preface that by saying #8 is not in the bottom in my mind at all. #8 is very much like in the middle, leaning higher. #8 I'm giving to my Nostalgia palette. I think this is so stinking cute. This launched like late summer, early fall, I believe, of 2020. And I wasn't gonna buy this one just because 2020 was hard for a lot of people. I was only just getting back into work. It wasn't my thing. Someone tagged me in the reveal and I just replied back saying, I'm sorry, I can't buy this right now. Like, I just do not have the money to spend. And then Ace Beaute slid in my DMs, offered to send it to me. I was super grateful. It was the first time they sent me anything. I wasn't automatically an affiliate or anything at that point or put on their PR list, but they did send me this palette and I was so, so grateful. I think this is so fun. It's so summery, so bright. I like the kind of bright, just bright fun tones, you know. This one makes me happy to play with. It's super cheerful. I wish there were some more shimmers in here. I feel like it's a little lacking in the shimmer department for me personally. And I feel like all the shimmers are very like same vibe. Like we have a gold, an orange, and a pink, and they're kind of like the same level of saturation, if that makes sense. Like I would have loved to see a purple shimmer or even a shimmer that would complement this beautiful greenish teal. That would have been really fun for me, but overall I really enjoy this palette. I think it's a blast to work with and I was super excited to receive this one. #7, oh, I couldn't believe this one made it to #7. I thought for sure when I tried this for the first time, or even when I saw it for the first time and just hadn't bought it yet, that this was gonna be one of my new like top favorites, but as it turns out, it's not quite like in my top, like not my top 5, but it is one that I cherish and I love this one and I've had so much fun playing with this so far. They just sent it to me recently and I'm so happy to have it in my life. It is the new Ambiance palette and it is gorgeous. I love it so much. It's beautiful. These moody, muted tones, the weird greens, purples, orange, yellow, this weird chartreusey. It's so good. I love this palette. The shimmers in here are gorgeous. I love the range of shimmers in here. This one makes me really happy. I like that it's kind of an equal balance of mattes and shimmers. There is so much you can do with this one, and I was convinced this was gonna be like in my top 3, like when I first saw it revealed. But as it turns out, I'm just kind of vibing with other things a little bit more at the moment. Not to say I don't like this one. Like I can totally see this like getting ranked high in like my 2022 ranking at the end of the year. But as far as all of my Ace Beaute palettes go, there's just certain things that I've loved for so many years that it is hard to kind of knock those out of the ranking. So this one just didn't get that high up as far as those go. But don't get me wrong again, I'm really enjoying this one. I'm fairly certain I might include this in my November favorites, so just stay tuned for that. I am really enjoying it a lot. So who knows, maybe in the future as I continue using it, it'll creep up higher and higher, but as it stands for now, there are just some OG palettes that didn't quite get beat out by this one, but I'm really enjoying it. And then moving on to #6 before we get in our top 5, another new one that actually hasn't launched yet, but I have shared it with you and it is coming very soon. #6 I'm giving to the Aura palette. This is launching on Cyber Monday, the 28th. So I think it's going up within like a day or two after this video goes up. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but my brain is scrambled right now, but it's coming very soon, 28th. Cyber Monday. I'm loving this one and it fits the vibes with my hair right now so well. I adore a pink, purple, red color story. It makes me really happy. And then with the pops of like mustard, grungy brown, it's a really fun color story and I'm really vibing with it. And I wasn't expecting this one to get ranked as high as it was, but I sat here pondering with my palettes for a hot minute trying to come up with this order, and I'm just really, really inspired by this one right now. I feel like this is very different than the other things in Ace Beaute's lineup, and I just felt this one fitting to rank it up a little bit higher. So yeah, that's how this one ended up number 6. I battled for a long time though between Ambiance or Aura being number 6. Really, Ambiance I almost put as number 5. I kind of kept moving those 3 around. But this is the order I decided to stick with, and I am really happy with this order. Really liking the Aura palette. Not enough to put it in the top 5, but enough to put it in number 6. And now moving into my top 5. This was really tough. Again, I was pretty certain pretty fast what my top 3 were gonna be, but the other 2, I kept moving around. I landed on number 4 pretty fast as well, but the number 5 slot, again, I almost put the Ambiance, I almost put the Aura. I put the one that I did put, so let's just chat about it. Number 5 I gave to the other new one launching on Cyber Monday, the Envy palette. Oh, it's so good. Let's just be real here. I'm a sucker for a blue, green, yellow color story. It never gets old to me. I've loved it for years, which I will talk more about here in a second. And I just love this. I fell in love with it as soon as I opened it. I've really enjoyed playing with it so far. It's what I'm wearing right now, and I just know myself. I've loved these vibes for years. I will continue to love these vibes for years, and I just for sure can see myself reaching for this again and again. I just had no choice. I had to put it number 5. I had no choice. It was in the stars, so that's kind of how I ended up putting that as number 5. Just a lot of debating, moving things around, and my heart just felt the happiest when I put that one in number 5. Moving on to number 4, so many tried and true ones here coming up. Number 4, I had to give it to my Classical Paradise. I love this palette. I reach for it every autumn season. It is such a good go-to for me. I don't think a year will ever go by where I don't feature this in my autumn's favorites video. Again, this was one of the first palettes I ever tried from them back in that OG bundle of 4 palettes, and it's just so cute. The murky, grungy, yellowy green color here, the brighter yellows, the oranges, the different shades of red burgundy. I just love this one. It's such a classic. I feel like Classical Paradise was the perfect name for this. It is such a classic for me, a harvest dream, and I love it. And I knew I had to rank this one high just because of how much I've loved it over the years and how much I know I'm gonna continue reaching for this one over the years. So decided to give this one to number 4. The top 3 though, the top 3 did beat that one out just because, I don't know, my heart just called to them a little bit more. I will say number 3 and 4 I did switch a couple times, I couldn't quite decide, but I did land on that one being number 4. Number 3, I am giving to my Oceanic palette. I've loved this for so long. It's so pretty. Again, taking it back to what I just said, I have always been such a sucker for a green blue color story. I like the Envy because it does have that extra little bit of yellowiness. This one's more just green blue, and I love it. I love the mixture of super bright, almost neon with the really dark grungy shades. Shimmers in here are so pretty, and I fell in love with this when this launched back in what, like 2018 maybe? 2017, something like that. It's been quite a few years at this point, and I have loved this the whole time. It makes me so incredibly happy, and just with the amount of love I've gotten out of this palette, I had to rank it high. I've used this more times than I could possibly count, and I know I'll continue to reach for it over the years, so this one had to be number 3. Moving on to number 2. This was the OG favorite. This was my number 1 favorite palette in my collection for a very long time. It is my Flare palette. I have loved this forever. Forever. I've gotten so much use out of it. This was my go-to palette to travel with for years. Again, this was my number 1 palette in my collection for like, I think 2 or 3 years in a row. I love this palette. I still love this palette. I love the purple, orange, bluey, greeny kind of vibe. It's grungy and bright and all the fun things. It's just such a perfect mixture, and I've loved this palette for such a long time. And it was kind of a weird day when I was able to finally knock this one out of #1 in my whole collection, or even out of Ace Beaute, because obviously this is #2. It's had its time. It still holds a special place in my heart, and I'm still happy to rank this one so highly. I'm probably gonna play with this one soon, actually. It's been a little while since I've played with it with you guys, so I might bust that one out again soon. And #1, drum roll please. I don't think this will surprise anyone, unless you just had no idea that the Flare palette wasn't my favorite anymore. But this shouldn't surprise anyone. #1 is my Tropical Vibes palette. I mean, are you kidding me with this? It's so pretty. Ace Beaute, you really did the thing with this palette. It is perfection. I love all these murky, grungy tones. There's pops of bright in here. The only thing I'll say is I wish there was just one more shimmer. One more shimmer would have made me really happy, especially if it was like a very bright, like this color in a shimmer. That would have been so cool. But aside from that, I think this is such a fun palette. It's so grungy and murky and weirdly wonderful, and it just makes me so happy. Pretty much from the second I tried this palette, I was like, ooh, Flare has competition now. I don't know if Flare is my favorite anymore. This is just such a me color story. I will never get sick of these kinds of colors, and I am super happy to put that as #1. And yeah, that is all 11 of my Ace Beaute palettes ranked. I would love to hear your thoughts. Did you agree with my ranking? Did anything surprise you? What are your favorite palettes from Ace Beaute? And if you have more than one, I would love for you to rank yours down below for me. If you made it to the end of this video, think of your favorite Ace Beaute palette and leave emojis that represent that palette. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It helps my channel out a lot. And if you're not already, you can follow me on my other socials. You can join the battybean fam. I am battybean on everything, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. And if you want, you can subscribe. If you want to see more of my videos, I'm posting most days here as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, bye. Absol! Absol! Abby, you want to come in? I'm almost done, buddy. Come on. Hi, baby. You're going to be locked in here now, you know that? Do you want to say hello? Look at that man. Look at that man. You want to sit and be good with me while I finish? Yeah, you can even sit on my lap. That could be a good fun time. Absol, look how fluffy you are. I mean, look at this thing.